Hey, what's going on, guys? Chris Chavez here with Phandroid.com. You're watching the Android Overload for Friday, February 8th. And even though I'm feeling a bit under the weather right now, I'm sure there's some little kid, out in Africa who was desperately needing his daily dose of Android news. So for little Timmy, this one's for you, buddy. First up, it looks like the HTC M7 might be released under the HTC One name. This coming from a tip from EV-Links, who claims to have, I guess, an inside source telling us that the M7 won't be released globally or in the US as the HTC M7. It will simply just be the HTC One and minus the X or S or V and all the other letters that HTC usually tacks to the end of the one. It looks like HTC is attempting to build a brand that they started with the HTC One X. And honestly, this makes a lot of sense. In yesterday's video, we talked about the Galaxy brand and how powerful that has become for Samsung. So much, in fact, that they're able to release a Galaxy S3 on every single carrier without any, restrictions, without changing the body style, without changing the name at all. And Samsung has successfully built a brand for themselves to equal even that of the iPhone. So it looks like HTC could be going a similar route with the HTC One, and we won't have to wait very much longer to find out. The phone is set to be officially announced on February 19th. Hopefully I get better by then, but I will be on hand giving you guys the latest from that event. So if you thought you heard the last of the very first Nexus device, the Nexus One, you'd be wrong. As it turns out, the phone is currently being strapped inside of the Strand One. It's a 30-centimeter little satellite that will house the Nexus One and its 5-megapixel camera to take pictures of space, and it's got, I guess it's loaded with a ton of apps to help test things like the magnetic environment and a bunch of other space NASA terminology. Pretty exciting stuff, and we can't help but to ask, where's the iPhone in all this? So when the Nexus 4 came out, it sold out rather quick, and it took a long time for it to be replenished and then shipped to, new users' doorsteps. And a lot of people were just wondering, who to blame. Was it LG for not producing enough units? Was it Google for not ordering enough units? But this entire time, Google has remained rather silent in announcing official numbers of the Nexus 4s that have been sold. Well, some crafty guys down over at XDA think they have figured out the number of Nexus 4s sold globally so far. This was cracked using the device's IMEI number, and it shows, like date and a bunch of other little tidbits that are kind of like code embedded in the IMEI number. So they believe that the Nexus 4 has unofficially sold 1 million units, with more than half of those coming, 550,000 precisely, in January alone. Pretty interesting information. Of course, we're gonna have to wait to hear from Google before we give official numbers, but it appears that the Nexus 4 just may have been, a moderate success. Who'd have thunk it? So now we've seen retail stores from, Apple and Microsoft and Sony and even Samsung. They've had a couple of makeshift little booths pop up around the globe. And some people, have been asking or wondering, why doesn't Google have their own retail store that they can use, to sell Android devices like the Nexus, Nexus 10, like their tablets, or even the Chromebook. And our own Quentin Kenmer actually wrote up a hell of a featured post on Phandroid, kind of detailing, some of the pros and cons and potential pitfalls. Basically all the ins and outs on why or why not Google should have their own retail store. It's actually a fun little read, one that you should read yourself, so I'm gonna go ahead and link it down below. Make sure you guys check that out and then, tell us what you think. So there's been a lot of rumors surrounding the Galaxy Note 8.0. This has been rumored for quite some time that this will be an 8-inch version of the Samsung Galaxy Note, with a little stylus to write on it and draw little pictures and whatnot. Well, now there's a little bit more talk on the 8-inch tablet, set to be unveiled at Mobile World Congress at the end of February. Apparently the tab could come in 3G configurations, 3G plus LTE, and then of course just plain old Wi-Fi. While this is all rumor and speculation at this point, of course we won't have to wait too much longer Myself and a couple of my colleagues, Edgar and Kevin, are going to be on hand at Mobile World Congress at the end of February. And hopefully, of course, I'm a lot better by then, but we will bring you every bit of news that's announced at MWC 2013. All right, so that just about wraps up the Android Overload for Friday, February 8th. For links to all the articles I talked about in this video, make sure you hit the little description area. And as always, don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe. I'm going to get some much needed rest and hopefully get over this flu fever thing that I got going on. With Phandroid.com, I am Chris Chavez. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week. Ugh.